A family of four vanished without a trace. No blood, no signs of struggle, just silence. In February 2010, in this peaceful neighborhood in Fallbrook, California, the Mcstay family disappeared. Joseph Mcstay, his wife Summer, and their two young sons, Gianni and Joseph Jr. They left behind their home, their pets, their belongings, and no one knew why. Grainy border surveillance footage, FBI agents at a desert scene, a wide shot of barren desert land. For years, investigators believed they had the answer, that the family had run away. But 4 years later, the truth emerged in the most unexpected place, hidden in the desert. Stay till the end, because the final discovery changed everything. Before this became a mystery, before it became a case, the Mcstays were a family. Joseph Mcstay was a business owner. He ran a small company designing custom decorative water fountains, detailed, artistic pieces meant for homes and businesses. It was creative work, but it came with pressure. Like many small business owners, Joseph dealt with financial stress. Late payments, tight margins, constant uncertainty. But stress didn't define the Mcstays. Summer Mcstay was a devoted mother, protective, careful, deeply connected to her children. Friends described her as someone who planned ahead, especially when it came to her boys. Gianni was 4 years old, curious, full of energy. Joseph Jr. was 3, still learning the world one step at a time. This was a family-oriented household. They kept to themselves. They valued routine. They didn't make impulsive decisions. Narrator, firm, measured. This was not a family that would vanish overnight without a plan. Despite financial stress, their life was stable. Their children were loved. Their home was intact. Their future uncertain but real, which made what happened next even harder to understand. Every disappearance has a final moment of normal. For the Mcstay family, that moment came on February 4th, 2010. That was the last confirmed day anyone heard from Joseph or Summer Mcstay. After that, nothing. Phone calls went straight to voicemail. Emails were sent and never opened. At first, friends assumed the family was busy, maybe away for a few days, maybe taking time to themselves. But as hours turned into days, concern turned into fear. Inside the Mcstay home, there were signs something wasn't right. Food had been left behind, not packed, not cleaned up. Outside, the dogs were still in the yard, hungry, confused, abandoned. There was no luggage missing, no clothes taken from closets, and perhaps most telling of all, no passports were gone. A family with 2 young children doesn't leave the country unprepared. They don't disappear without essentials. This wasn't a trip, and it wasn't a plan. Whatever happened to the Mcstays, it happened suddenly. And soon, someone would step inside the house and realize just how wrong things were. When the silence didn't break, Joseph's brother, Chase Mcstay, decided to check the house himself. The door wasn't locked. Inside, everything looked normal. Too normal. In the kitchen, bowls of popcorn were still sitting out. Children's toys were scattered across the floor. Eggs had been left out, untouched. It looked like a family had stepped away for a moment and never came back. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken locks, no shattered windows, no overturned furniture. To police, the house didn't look like a crime scene. And soon, investigators reached a conclusion. They believed the Mcstays had chosen to leave. That financial stress pushed them to start over. But the family strongly disagreed. No parent leaves 2 young children behind without preparation. No family abandons their pets. No one disappears and leaves their life frozen in place. For the Mcstay family, the explanation didn't fit. And as the investigation slowed, the mystery only deepened. Just as the search for the Mcstay family began to slow, one piece of evidence changed the entire story. Surveillance cameras at the U.S.-Mexico border captured video of a family walking across on foot. 2 adults, 2 children. To investigators, the resemblance was striking. The timing fit. The number of people matched. And suddenly, there was an explanation. Authorities suggested the Mcstays hadn't vanished at all. They had run away. Missing family believed to have crossed into Mexico. Mcstays may have started new life. The media narrative spread quickly. Public concern faded. The urgency disappeared. But the Mcstay family wasn't convinced. They studied the footage closely. The father's height didn't match Joseph's. The woman's posture and movements felt wrong. Wrong height. Different body language. And the children, their size, their behavior. It didn't look like Johnny and Joseph Jr. To the family, it wasn't proof. It was a mistake. But the footage carried weight. Investigators leaned into it. Resources were redirected. The case lost momentum. For years, that video defined the investigation. And while the world believed the Mcstays had escaped, the truth remained hidden. After the border footage, the noise stopped. What followed was silence. Months passed, then years. But the signs everyone expected to appear never did. There was no bank activity, no withdrawals, no credit card use. A family starting a new life needs money. The Mcstays left none behind. There was no school enrollment, no records, no paperwork. 2 young boys don't disappear from education systems. They leave trails. There were no confirmed sightings, no photos, no phone calls. Not in Mexico, not anywhere. Still, the family refused to give up. Chase Mcstay and other relatives continued pushing law enforcement. Phone calls, letters, unanswered emails. They asked the same questions, over and over. How does a family vanish without leaving a single trace? But without new leads, the case went cold. Public interest faded. Headlines disappeared. The Mcstay family became another unresolved mystery. But the truth doesn't vanish just because attention does. It waits. In November 2013, after more than 3 years of unanswered questions, the silence broke. A motorcyclist was riding through a remote area of the Victorville Desert near Interstate 15. It wasn't a place people usually stopped. Then he saw something that didn't belong, what looked like bone. He got off his bike, looked closer, and realized it was human. Authorities were called. The area was sealed off, and what started as a single discovery quickly became something far worse. Investigators uncovered 2 shallow graves, barely hidden. Exposed to the elements, the FBI took over. This was no longer a missing persons case. This was a crime scene. Forensic teams worked carefully, piece by piece, and as the remains were examined, the truth emerged. There were 4 sets of remains, 2 adults, 2 children, a family, hidden in the desert. The world had believed the Mcstays were alive, starting over somewhere else. But here, the truth was finally found. What investigators feared was now unavoidable. Through dental records and forensic testing, the remains were officially identified. They were the Mcstay family, Joseph, Summer, Johnny, Joseph Jr. After years of uncertainty, the family finally had answers, but the answers were devastating. Autopsies revealed the truth about how they died. The injuries were severe. Fractures to the skull, broken bones. The damage told a violent story. Investigators determined the deaths were not accidental. They were deliberate. Severe fractures. Medical examiners believed a heavy object had been used, a tool capable of delivering repeated crushing blows, a sledgehammer. The realization was horrifying. 2 parents, 2 very young children, killed in an act of extreme violence. With that confirmation, everything changed. The missing family investigation was officially closed, and a murder investigation began. Now, investigators had only one question left. Who did this, and why? With the case now officially ruled a homicide, investigators turned to the people closest to the Mcstay family. One name stood out: Charles Chase Merritt. Merritt was Joseph Mcstay's business partner. They worked together in the custom water fountain business. But behind the scenes, investigators uncovered serious tension. There were financial disputes. Records showed money problems within the business. And after the Mcstay family vanished, something troubling appeared. Checks were written from Joseph Mcstay's account after February 4th, 2010. Joseph wasn't there to sign them. Investigators also examined Merritt's movements. Cell phone data placed his phone near the Victorville desert area, close to where the shallow graves were later discovered. Not once, multiple times. When questioned, Merritt's statements raised red flags. Timelines changed, details conflicted, explanations didn't align with evidence. To investigators, the pattern was clear: opportunity, motive, and behavior that didn't add up. Years after the family disappeared, Merritt was arrested. After a lengthy trial, a jury found him guilty. But even with a conviction, questions lingered. No murder weapon was ever recovered, and the brutality of the crime left many still searching for answers. Justice had been delivered, but closure was harder to find. At the center of this case were 4 lives: 2 parents, Joseph and Summer Mcstay; 2 young children, Johnny and Joseph Jr. They weren't suspects, they weren't headlines. They were a family. For years, their disappearance was treated as an escape, a choice. But this case reminds us of something far more important. Disappearance doesn't always mean freedom. Sometimes it means something went terribly wrong. The truth can be ignored. It can be delayed, but it doesn't disappear. Sometimes the truth isn't missing, it's buried. If this story moved you, take a moment to remember the Mcstay family and join the conversation. Do you believe justice was truly served? Let me know in the comments.